WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. From the new WCCO Television Communications Center in the Twin Cities, this is the 10 p.m. Report. With Dave Moore, Pat Miles, Skip Loescher, Mike Fairborn, and Mark Rosen.
Good evening, everyone. The very first severe weather of this very young season struck the Twin Cities metro area tonight with reports of a tornado touchdown in that area of suburban St. Anthony, specifically in the Apache Plaza area. Damage in St. Anthony is said to be running in a 1 square mile area, which would run roughly from 28 9th Avenue Northeast to 40th Avenue Northeast and between Stinson and Silver Lake Road. At last report, we were told 11 people have been injured. They have been taken to Unity and North Memorial hospitals. The area, as we say, includes Apache Plaza, where the damage took place, and presumably the 11 injured were in Apache Plaza around that area of St. Anthony. And officials in St. Anthony are asking all sightseers to stay away. Also, tornadoes hit earlier in the evening in Grant and Stevens County in west central Minnesota. Damage is said to have taken place in New Brighton and Mounds View, where many store windows were smashed in, several garages were flattened, and there was heavy damage to stores and homes. And power is out in sporadic parts of those particular areas. Let's get the latest now from Mike Fairborn. Mike?
David, as many of these storms happen, they build up very quickly, and once they move on to the east of us, they dissipate very quickly, and that has been the case tonight, so at least we've been able to get back into that area and assess the damage. The activity has died down appreciably over the last hour and a half. In fact, all of the warnings have now expired for the metropolitan area and for all of west central Wisconsin. The only reports we've received of severe weather in the past half an hour to 45 minutes have been down in Iowa and over into extreme central Wisconsin. We still remain in a tornado watch and will until 11 p.m. The southeastern corner of the state still has the potential for some thunderstorm activity, but it looks like most of that activity is now over with here for the metropolitan area. We'll have a full update on the weather coming up in a little bit.
Who have joined us late, let me just repeat that the heaviest damage appears to have come from a tornado touchdown in the northern suburb of St. Anthony, specifically in the Apache Plaza area, covering roughly about 1 square mile area. This appears to have been the hardest hit in the northern suburbs, from 29th Avenue Northeast to 40th Avenue Northeast, between Stinson and Silver Lake Road. We have been told now that reporter Andy Greenspan is on the scene somewhere in that area. Andy?
Dave, I hear you now. I think power is out, as you mentioned, in substantial areas up here in New Brighton, especially, which is where we are off Silver Lake Road, County D as well. We're off County D Road where there's a substantial amount of traffic, a lot of traffic jams because people just can't navigate without any lights. Trees are uprooted in many areas as well. There you see a police officer trying to direct some traffic. 10 roofs, according to that officer, have apparently collapsed on homes and apartments. The situation I would not describe, however, as chaotic. Police are on the scene, as you can see, out of their backyard. I saw basketball hoops on the streets and many other items as well. But I would not say that things are chaotic. And by the way, we did not hear specific reports of any injuries here. We did hear some reports, though, about injuries in the Mounds View region.
The reports we have, just for your information, Andy, is that, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
11 people were injured. We do not know the extent of the injury, whether they were serious or severe, whether there were minor injuries. We have been told that those 11 were taken to Unity and North Memorial hospitals. Where are you specifically now? Can you give us a fix on your position?
We're just off of County Road D, Dave, in the New Brighton area. That's it's been very chaotic actually getting over here, and that's the best location I can give you. I should say on the injury matter, I asked a New Brighton police officer to check in with his dispatcher on reports about injuries, and the dispatcher informed him that there were none, so apparently at this early moment we're getting conflicting information.
All right, fine. We'll try to confirm or deconfirm that information as the evening goes on. Thank you, Andy. We'll get back to you later. Pat?
Well, as you might imagine, it is turning into a long night for NSP crews and their personnel. Wayne Kaplan is on the phone with us right now to give us an update on the area power outages. Wayne, how many people have been affected and in what area?
Right now, we have approximately 32,000 people without power in the Twin City metropolitan area. Most of the outages, approximately 23,000 customers, are in the St. Anthony area around Apache Plaza. Other affected areas would be Fridley, Northeast Minneapolis, New Brighton, Spring Lake Park, Mounds View, and St. Anthony Village. One of our substations is near the Apache Plaza, and we believe that there's some damage there. We also have reports of approximately 6,000 to 7,000 customers out in the rest of the Minneapolis metropolitan area. And in the St. Paul metro area, the hardest problem appears to be in parts of Newport, St. Paul Park, and Woodbury, where there are approximately 2,000 customers out. We know it's going to be a long night before we get all service restored. It probably won't be until sometime tomorrow that all service is restored. As to when that service will be restored, frankly, it depends on what kind of weather we get for the rest of the evening.
How many crews do you have out at this point, Wayne?
I don't have an exact number, but we're calling in extra crews, and people will be working through the night.
At this point, it does seem, though, as if you'll get it fixed by tomorrow morning.
Well, sometime tomorrow. A lot depends upon what kind of weather we get.
All right. Wayne, thank you very much. We appreciate your help tonight.
You're welcome.
We're going to go right now to Pat Kessler, who is standing by with Governor Purpich, who was also notified of the tornado damage tonight as he was preparing to make public his decision on whether to veto or sign that controversial statewide gun control law. Pat Kessler is at the Capitol. Pat?
Pat, I am outside the governor's office right now. We'll get to the gun issue in just a moment. As you mentioned, Governor Purpich has been concerned about the weather. He's been monitoring the weather from his Capitol office tonight. The Department of Emergency Services for the state is just a couple floors below me here, and they've been relaying some information up to the governor's office all night. Now, just about 5 to 10 minutes ago, the city of St. Anthony, the mayor of the city of St. Anthony, called the governor asking for assistance. We are not sure exactly what kind of assistance is needed. The governor did not elaborate. However, the governor has decided at this point to visit the damaged areas in the city of St. Anthony. We have no idea at this point at what point he will go out there. We just heard this just a very few moments ago, but the governor had said that he will probably go out to that area and visit. Now, when a city official asks for local assistance, the governor's spokesman said earlier tonight that that may mean National Guard help. We are not sure at this point. So to say once again, the governor has been monitoring the situation for the last hour and a half or so, trying to determine the extent of the damage from the state capitol. Now, the gun control bill, as you mentioned, Pat, the governor tonight had a press conference to announce his decision on whether to veto or sign the bill which would create a statewide gun control law. Well, the governor tonight vetoed that bill, and just about 10 minutes ago he passed out a letter in which he said, and I quote, "During the campaign I talked about the importance of gun control laws, but he said that during the campaign that gun control far outweighed the importance as an issue." He said, quote, "I saw no need then during the campaign for changes in gun laws, and I continue today to hold that view." The governor tonight vetoed the bill which would have created a uniform statewide gun control law. So that is all that we have from here right now. The governor and emergency services will be standing by tonight to assess the damage, Pat.
All right, very good. Thank you, Pat. 18-year-old Stephen Jenkins is in jail tonight, convicted of first and second-degree murder in the ambush slayings last fall of two Ruthven, Minnesota bankers who worked at the bank which foreclosed on his father James' farm. As Caroline Lowe reports, the verdict came after 11 hours of deliberation.
Jenkins showed no emotion as the verdicts were read. But after the jurors left the courtroom, he hugged his mother and cried as he was led off to a jail in Marshall. For the families of the murdered bankers, the verdicts marked the end of a 7-month ordeal. Lynn Tulane says she has always felt in her heart that Jenkins was the man who shot her husband.
I just feel relieved. That's all I can say. I'm sorry, but our prayers have been answered.
Jenkins has been living with defense attorney Alan Swen Anderson since he was released on bond last December. Anderson was obviously very disappointed with the convictions and plans to appeal them.
To me, Stephen's like my own son. I love him greatly. I love him thoroughly.
Prosecutor Tom Fable says he is not concerned about the outcome of an appeal.
I'm confident that all of the decisions that were made during the course of this trial are appropriate under the law. I'm confident that the evidence will thoroughly justify the conviction itself.
Jenkins will remain in jail until May 22nd, when Judge Walter Mann is scheduled to sentence him. With photographer Bill Kemplin, Caroline Lowe, WCCO Television News in Lincoln County.
And Dave Jenkins' first-degree murder conviction carries with it a mandatory life sentence in Minnesota.
An autopsy on the body of 28-year-old David Kennedy has failed to reveal that the son of the late Robert Kennedy died of a drug overdose in a Palm Beach, Florida hotel suite. Today, while his body was flown to his mother's estate in McLean, Virginia, for a private funeral tomorrow, Palm Beach authorities were saying no drugs or drug paraphernalia were found in his room. Reportedly, David's 93-year-old grandmother, Rose Kennedy, whom David visited daily in Palm Beach, has not been told of his death. Following the funeral tomorrow, the body will be flown to Brookline, Massachusetts for burial in the family graveyard. We understand now that Mike Strand is near the area of damage in northern suburban St. Anthony for an update on tonight's tornado event. Mike?
David, at this point, all we know is that a tornado moving from the north to the south ripped through the Apache Plaza Shopping Center between 8:15 and 8:30 this evening. At this point, we're not sure of the extent of any injuries, but officials on hand at the on the site has told us there have been at least 3 injuries. The extent of those injuries are still unconfirmed. Minigasco is on the scene to check for any gas leaks. There are fumes of gasoline as a major tractor-trailer truck was literally ripped as if it was tinfoil out on the Apache Plaza parking lot, which also looks like it is strewn with automobiles which are ripped apart. You can see here where the roof of the Apache Plaza was literally shredded as the tornado ran through the Apache Plaza there. Again, there are no serious injuries that we know of, but those have not been confirmed for us tonight. The roof is still falling apart. Officials on the scene are telling us to stay away from the Apache Plaza shopping center, although there are hundreds of gawkers outside and watching every move that's going on. There were at least a dozen stores that were damaged, and officials say they have moved out everybody that was inside the store at the time. So if at this point we're not sure of any more injuries at this point again, but we know that it was a tornado. People have described it as a train that was moving through the area, and we will hopefully be able to get back with you for some confirmation on this information later.
Very good, Mike. Does there appear to have been any evidence of looting in some of those damaged stores?
At this point, no, because the police have brought out at least a dozen fire trucks. The authorities are scattered throughout the area, and there does not at this point seem to be any type of looting problem.
Very good, thank you. And of course, warning again from authorities for everyone, please stay out of that area of damage in northern suburban St. Anthony. Thank you, Mike. We'll get back to you later.
Sure.
Now to our Washington Bureau, Skip Loescher. Skip.
David, President and Mrs. Reagan are in China tonight. They were welcomed with pink gladiolas and a booming 21-gun salute upon their arrival in the capital of Beijing. Security was very tight as Mr. Reagan and President Lee watched troops goose-step past the reviewing stand. Later, before a state dinner, the two leaders drank a toast of friendship, and Mr. Reagan tried to downplay U.S.-Sino differences.
We believe even greater progress can be made if our future efforts are based on Hu Jing, Hu Wei, mutual respect and mutual benefit.
All was not so pleasant in the Netherlands, where Iranian students opposed to the Ayatollah Khomeini ransacked the Iranian embassy at The Hague. Dutch police arrested 17 of them, but not before the students injured the Iranian ambassador. Iranian students staged less violent protests in other European capitals today, but in London, the anti-Khomeini students staged a 9-hour sit-in at the Iranian consulate before being ejected by consulate staffers. Not far away, 18 bags were taken from the besieged Libyan embassy in London and put on a plane bound for Libya. And the wives and children of Libyan diplomatic personnel also left London for home today. Neither they nor their bags could be searched because all still have diplomatic immunity. There was a similar scene in Tripoli where British embassy personnel packed up and began flying home to London. They too still have diplomatic immunity, and their departure was uneventful. The evacuations from both countries are expected to be completed before midnight Sunday night, when diplomatic relations between Britain and Libya will be severed. David?
Very good, Skip. Thank you. Orchestra Hall in Minneapolis was the site of a prelude today, but the theme was not a musical one. The story coming up on the 10 p.m. report.
85% of your knowledge is gained through your vision. You must make the right decision to receive the finest in eye care. there's an optical center that offers you quality professional service, a large selection of eyewear, guaranteed satisfaction, and low prices. Now at Dueling Optical, purchase a pair of eyeglasses and you'll receive a pair of regular soft contact lenses free, or your choice of sunglasses, sports, or safety glasses. That's right, regular soft contact lenses free from Dueling Optical.
Hi, what you do?
Oh, it sounds like you're gonna have a pretty rough day.
So
I want to do something nice for you.
Smells good.
These are Johnsonville's New Bratwurst panels.
They're good.
For you, only the best.
Only the best.
The best to you from Johnsonville.
Oh, by the way, did I tell you the kids were staying at Mom's house tonight?
Oh?
Now could be the best time to make your deal on a new truck during your Toyota dealer's big Truckloads of Truck sales event. Hundreds must be sold to make room for truckloads of more trucks. Like these gas-powered Toyota trucks with more standard horsepower, more standard payload than Chevy S10 or Ford Ranger. Make your truck deal now. Your Toyota dealer is giving big trade-in allowances that could save you more money during Toyota's big Truckloads of Truck sales event. Hurry, stock is moving fast.
KTWB FM 101. Feeling good, it's just for you and me. Feeling good, the new KTWB.
Switch to the new KDWB FM 101 for more music, a better variety of songs, and DJs who keep you feeling good.
Feeling good, alive and having fun. Feeling good, the new FM 101. KTWB FM 101.
Peace activists planning a mass rally outside the Honeywell headquarters tomorrow held a dry run at the firm's annual stockholders meeting today. About 200 demonstrators marched outside Orchestra Hall to protest Honeywell's production of weapons systems. Inside, a group of dissident shareholders tried but failed to pass a resolution to bar Honeywell from accepting future defense contracts. Honeywell did more than $1 billion of business with the Pentagon in 1983. A number of arrests is expected at tomorrow's protest. Pat?
The head of the State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension issued his sharpest criticism yet today of the Children's Theater handling of the John Donahue sexual abuse investigation. John Erskine stopped short of saying the theater should have suspended Donahue for the 18 months he was under scrutiny. Andy Greenspan reports.
Erskine said the theater had taken BCA orders not to interfere with the investigation, quote, totally out of context, that the BCA had never meant the theater should not tell parents about the probe, just that it should not talk to victims. Asked if the theater acted responsibly, Erskine, who did not want to appear on camera, said apparently they just didn't know how to deal with it. A theater spokesperson tonight reiterated that the theater could not take action because the BCA gave it no facts. But a theater board member who did not know about the probe says parents should have been told, and says she'll resign if the board doesn't take a hard look at what it did.
Appropriate steps should have been taken at the point that one knew that an investigation was underway that involved this type of activity, that every effort should be made to protect the well-being of the children. And I am not sure that, everything, in fact, was done.
Weefald was asked if the theater placed its prestige above its students' safety, a charge the theater denies.
I'm not completely comfortable that there wasn't some concern about preservation of the theater that perhaps clouded the appropriate steps that should have been taken.
Also today, the theater asked the State Arts Board to delay action on a $108,000 grant request, saying it needs more time to spell out how it will reorganize. Andy Greenspan, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
We have an update on the injuries from the tornado touchdown in Apache Plaza. Now we have learned that 22 people have been admitted to the hospitals, primarily Unity and North Memorial Hospital, and all injuries have been minors, with the possible exception of one woman who is said to be in critical condition at the Hennepin County Emergency Center. Well,
Okay.
We're all clear now. Are we scot-free for a while?
I think we are, David. The latest warning reports that we're getting in continue to confirm what we said earlier, that the activity is moving into Wisconsin. The latest one we received was out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, for Buffalo County. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11 p.m. Most of the activity is moving out of our area, but you folks over in Wisconsin, keep your eyes peeled. These storms can still produce some severe weather, and they're moving right into the central part of Wisconsin at this hour. Now, I'm going to start out tonight by showing you a high temperature map. This is kind of unusual, but look at the temperature contrast. You don't have to be a student of meteorology to tell that we obviously had some kind of a frontal system in there. The low pressure center affecting a huge part of the country, bringing warm, moist air up ahead of it and very, very cold air in behind it. So there's two sides to this story, the warm side and the cold side. We know what the warm side produced for us today. This satellite picture shows the huge thunderstorm complex that we had over us, extending all the way up into Minnesota. If we can see that satellite picture, it'll show that. There we go. All this dark area is that huge thunderstorm complex. And of course, as it was right over us, this was the latest picture, now moving over into Wisconsin. This is when all of the severe weather was breaking out right across the Twin Cities area. There's more down here to the southwest of us. We think that's going to move off to the east of us. And so the rest of the night, just some clouds, and it's going to stay a little bit on the muggy and the warm side. The radar from earlier tonight showed that line of thunderstorms moving toward us, broke into a pretty broad line all the way from up around the Lake Mille Lacs area all the way down to the Iowa-Minnesota border. This is when the activity was occurring right in the core of the metropolitan area. You can see some very heavy thunderstorm cells to the north of us. It was at about this time, about a half an hour beyond this, when the tornado touched down up in the Apache Plaza area. Live radar now indicates we still have a nice bow echo, we call that. Much of the energy is concentrated along the leading edge of that, now over into the Eau Claire area and extending all the way down to Rochester. So this part of the country still has to kind of keep its eye out for tonight. In fact, we do have the tornado watch in effect until 11 p.m. We thought they might even cancel it for much of Minnesota since this activity is getting out of here, but it looks like it's just going to let it expire at 11 o'clock. We said there were two sides to it. Look what's going on out to the west. Blizzard warnings for parts of Wyoming, a big area of southeastern Montana, winter storm warnings in effect for the western Dakotas and much the rest of Wyoming tonight. And they're talking about 3 to 4 feet of snow, at least in the higher elevations, with winds up to 50 miles an hour. What side are we going to be on tomorrow? We're still reluctant to say that we're not going to taste the backside of this storm system as it moves off the east, but at least for tomorrow we're going to be on the warm side one more day with showers and thunderstorms breaking out ahead of it. And as this system slowly slides off the east, we'll begin to get some of this cooler air coming in. So it'll be cooler toward the weekend. We're talking about the possibility of some snow mixed with the rain that we're going to continue on through the weekend. For tomorrow, though, high temperatures over us will be back up into the low 70s, much, much cooler air out here to the west, and we're certainly going to keep an eye on that because that could affect us adversely coming up on the weekend. Our weather guide, we reached 79 degrees today, 49 for an overnight low, 0.08 of an inch of precipitation officially at the National Weather Service. That was prior to this latest batch of thunderstorm activity. That was kind of from the overnight ones we had last night. Did those keep you awake? Our current conditions, cloudy, 63 degrees, southeast wind 16, still gusting to 24, 29, 44, and steady, 72% humidity. Going to be a muggy night tonight. Our forecast, tornado watch until 11 o'clock. Showers and thunderstorms, still possibly severe in the southern part of the area, but we think that by midnight, most of that activity will be out of our area completely. A low temperature of around 55 degrees. Cloudy, windy, occasional showers and thunderstorms again tomorrow. South winds 10 to 20, a high again of around 70. Tomorrow night, cloudy, showers. Saturday, cloudy, showers, cooling off to 53 degrees. The extended forecast calls for cooler weather to continue to filter in over the weekend. We're saying showers, but we're saying they could possibly be mixed with snow at times, depending upon when those showers occur. The overnight lows dropping into the upper 20s, low 30s. The highs only in the 40s day for the weekend. So we're still looking the other side of the storm.
And you can also be looking for similar, I think you have a long summer.
Don't say that.
Mike, if you would stick around for a bit, I've just been told that at midnight tonight, following the Trapper John show, we're going to be back with another newscast to update the tornado story. That would be at midnight tonight. A special report. We'll hope to have live reports from Apache Plaza from Northern States Power Company. Also, we hope to talk with Governor Perpich, about whom Pat Kessler said a moment ago will probably be touring the damaged area of St. Anthony near Apache Plaza. Okay, let's recheck again with Mike Strand, who is in the damaged area. Mike?
David, what we know tonight is one of the main problems up here in St. Anthony. There are dozens of high wires and electrical wires down throughout the bedroom community of St. Anthony, including the shopping center where Apache Plaza, where most of the damage was done. The fire departments from St. Anthony and the half a dozen or so community agencies that are helping out are now making a house-by-house search for any type of problems or electrical problems that may be have happened, plus some damage to homes that they are aware of at this point. The extent to the housing is not known. Earlier this evening, however, we did talk to some victims who were inside one of the damaged buildings tonight.
My ears just started like popping. They just like pressure built up, and I thought the lights went on, and I just hit on the table. The glass started breaking, and it was just scary.
Did you see anything?
No, the lights went out, and I just heard glass, and there's big glass windows out in front, and I just hid. I thought I was gonna have my baby. I just didn't know what to do.
As you can imagine, the problems up here are tremendous in terms of people. It is very congested. Police are still warning people to remain away from the area so as not to hamper any of the rescue operations that are now underway. But again, there is some severe problems. The entire town of St. Anthony, parts of New Brighton, are without electricity. They are working very hard and diligently to get that restored. David?
And repeating, Mike, we've had reports of 22 confirmed injuries, all but one of them minor. The one woman is said to be in critical condition. She's unidentified at the Hennepin Medical Emergency
They've
Center.
also had a report of a stroke.
From one of the 22, or is this an additional?
This was one of the 22, I believe, outside of the Apache Plaza Shopping Center. The 3 from the Apache Plaza Shopping Center have been taken to hospitals. They are not believed to be serious injuries.
I see. We'll check on the stroke victim. Thank you, Mike. Musicians the world over are having no trouble tonight finding the words to eulogize Count Basie, who died today at age 79. Such words as giant, legendary, incomparable. For 45 years, until just a month ago when he entered a hospital for treatment of cancer, Count Basie fronted and played his inimitable piano for a 17-piece band that epitomized the driving big band rhythm. Today, his idolaters, including Goodman, Sinatra, and Tony Bennett, agreed that he'll never be replaced.
I loved him more than anybody that I've ever met. That's the only way I could put it. He's just the most, I think the word soul was invented for Count Basie.
The Rivers.
At True Value Hardware stores, you'll find Hoover products that make great gifts for Mother's Day. Like this Hoover Concept 2 cleaning system with electronic variable speed control for the right amount of power. The Hoover Concept 2 is self-propelled for effortless vacuuming and also features the handy Helpmate electric vacuum to dust furniture and reach tight spots. Give Mom the Hoover Concept 2 vacuum from participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
We say that Roundup is more affordable than ever. What do you say?
I can afford Roundup. Working with low spray volumes, I can use Roundup at the 1-quart rate and treat twice as many acres as I used to.
I can afford Roundup. For $20 an acre, I can do the job right and treat the whole field, not just patches.
For the best quackgrass control, more farmers agree they can afford
Roundup.
Roundup herbicide, as affordable as it is effective.
Friends, don't go to sleep Friday night. Could cost you money. It shocks fabulous. 20 more hours sale. Audio, video, computers, car, stereo, shock wants to pedal everything. Listen to this year's blockbuster. Simply purchase his BES Harman Kardon stereo system, $9.99. You'll receive this new Raleigh 10-speed bike absolutely free. Look at these gorgeous BES speakers. Look at their slim lines. They're omnidirectional, too, so it's a bicycle. It's all yours for just $9.99. A $1,300 stereo system plus a $200 bike. All for $9.99. Hundreds of items on sale during Shock's 24-hour sale. Hot sale funds.
That is some tuxedo.
Thank you, Donna.
And it's really you, Mr. Jefferson.
Thank you.
It's loud.
Tonight at 10:30 on WCCO television.
The so-called Children's Caucus of the U.S. Senate held a conference on child abuse in suburban Washington today, and it learned for the first time why one senator is so concerned about the problem.
My interest in this issue developed when I was a very young girl, at age 5, and was sexually abused by a good friend of our family.
Senator Hawkins says she'll remember to her dying day what happened when her mother and the parents of other abused children on her block took the man to court.
All the children were judged by the judge to be lying. by a hostile judge who indeed took the side of the elderly uncle gentleman that lived on the corner and continued to his dying day to abuse children.
Also here in Washington today, Assistant U.S. Attorney Lois Harrington says that a Justice Department task force will almost certainly recommend lengthening the statute of limitations for prosecuting child abusers. Pat?
Skip, it has only been within the last 10 years that therapists have been treating child sexual abusers. It's an area where more research needs to be done, and therapists tell us more programs need to be developed. While working on this report, photographer Jeff Coffer and I were continually told by therapists in the field that until we begin to treat these sex offenders, the cycle of abuse will never end. For the past year and a half, Reese Becker has been going through treatment for sexually molesting a 16-year-old neighbor girl. His has been a remarkable journey back, for he too was sexually abused as a child.
Me, my little brother and sister, and my mom and dad were having group sex, and we took off our clothes and following each other and having intercourse with each other too.
His story spilled out following 6 months of group therapy at Nexus, a correctional treatment program in Minnetonka. Reese finally admitted how he was forced as a child to perform sex acts with his family. The authorities were contacted, and following a jury trial, Reese's mother and father were convicted and sent to prison. His younger brother and sister now live in foster homes. But for the first time in his life, Reese Becker says he feels healthy. His therapist says he is.
And there were many tears and a lot of turmoil inside of him over whether or not he should do it and whether or not he was doing the right thing. And believe me, he second-guessed himself on many, many occasions during the course of the trial and in the times following that. But today, I think Reese is a pretty healthy kid, and I think he's going to be just fine.
For Jim, treatment meant 21 days in the workhouse and 13 months of therapy at Alpha House. It's a residential treatment program in Minneapolis for adult sex offenders. His crime, having oral sex with the 9-year-old daughter of the woman he was living with. After hundreds of hours of therapy, Jim finally broke down, able at last to admit his own abuse as a child and to feel the pain of his victim.
I think at the time that the crime occurred, I wanted her to hurt, and now I don't. I would like to be able to take that away from her. I wouldn't choose anyone to go through life like I did. I wouldn't choose that to happen to a really young age.
Jim, like 90% of the men who complete treatment at Alpha House, has never repeated his crime. But half of those who begin treatment never finish, some electing instead to do their time in prison. Other convicted sex offenders may never get court-ordered therapy.
That there are a group of sexual offenders who are just not treatable by any techniques that we know, and that would be a very high risk for sexually offending again, and that we have to be able to recognize those people.
Those offenders are sentenced to time in prison without parole for treatment. Jerry Kaplan has spent the last 10 years at Alpha House building a treatment program for those who can be treated. The job has not been easy, made more difficult by public prejudice. Kaplan cites a survey saying 25% of the people in Minnesota believe sex offenders should be executed. So it doesn't shock him that he's having difficulty expanding.
We're an established treatment program with a solid record, and a record that suggests that we're not a danger to the community. And we can't even get into a new building. How are you going to start a new treatment program?
Right now, there is no residential treatment program for the women being held at Shakopee's Women's Correctional Facility. There are 7 women doing time there for sex crimes. Shakopee officials tell us they are working on the problem, trying to develop a treatment program, but at this point, there is not one. The Project Abuse Hotline for anyone wanting to talk about sexual abuse of children is being staffed 24 hours a day here at WCCO. The number to call is 612-332-9011. Tomorrow night on Project Abuse, Jim Newman reports on sexual abusers and the criminal justice system. That's tomorrow on the 10 p.m. report. Dave?
Next on this 10 p.m. report, Mark Rosen on the sports scene with the latest in tonight's North Stars Oilers playoff in Edmonton.
In a world of ordinary mowers,
Tough customers look for the extraordinary, which isn't easy to find, until you come to Aaron's. Aaron's gives you variable speed control, folding handlebars, more bagging capacity, and more years of service.
Aaron's makes being tough easy.
Aaron's, the easy choice for tough customers.
See these full-service Aaron's dealers near you.
At Marshall's, you'll find a great selection of fashions, priced 20 to 60% less than department store regular prices. 20 to 60% less on brand name fashions for women and children. Fine quality menswear, family footwear, accessories, home fashions, and giftware. At Marshall's, you'll find quality and value in every department. Buying smart. That's what brand names for less is all about.
Today's harder working engines run hot like racers do. And to help engines last longer, there's new Amical Ultimate Synthetic Motor Oil.
Friday, meet Heather Locklear, who's starring in 2 TV hits, Dynasty and T.J. Hooker. Take a look at 25 years of America's space program with the man who captured it on film. Singer Jimmy Buffett shows off his new line of T-shirts. Peggy the cab driver discovers one of Minnesota's great outdoor activities. And Steve Doyle and Pat Brown meet Joey Soderlund, one of the poster children for the Twin City Area March of Dimes. On PM Magazine, Friday night at 6:30 on Channel 4.
North Star has made a wonderful comeback tonight in Edmonton, although to this point has not been quite enough. Mark?
Well, Dave, as we stand right now, it is 3-all in Edmonton, and we are early in the third period. It's really been a tale of 2 periods so far. Edmonton jumped off to a 2-0 lead in the first period, but it could have been much worse. Donnie Beaupre single-handedly kept the Stars in the game with spectacular saves and goal. Both first period goals were scored by, no, not Wayne Gretzky, but Kenny Linsman, whose nickname is the Rat. Linsman was left alone at the corner of the net and had easy pickings. The Stars really missed defenseman Gordy Roberts, who was out for the second straight game. The Stars, however, were a new team when they started the second period. Broughton scored 11 seconds into the period, then Willie Plitt right there, assisted by Steve Payne, tied it. Edmonton regained the lead 3-2, but Brian Bellows scored on a breakaway to make it 3-all, and that's the way we stand right now, early in the third period. Game 3 is Saturday night at the Sports Center. In the past few years, the Flying Frenchmen have failed to live up to the reputation as hockey's premier team. The Islanders own that tag, but now the upstart Canadiens lead their semifinal series 2-0. Coming up, Steve Shutt will knock home his own rebound on a pass from Bobby Smith, giving Montreal a 2-1 lead in the second period. Montreal went on to beat the defending champions 4-2. Including tonight's game, the Canadiens have scored first in all but one of their playoffs. The momentum continued when Pierre Mondu set up Mats Naslund on a breakaway. Montreal finished the regular season 5 games below 500. The Canadiens are trying to preserve a precious record. The Islanders are aiming to tie 5 straight Stanley Cup championships. Dennis Potvin scored on a power play, only the second power play goal in 44 attempts for New York. The series moves to the island this Saturday night. Pete Filson pitched superbly as the Twins completed a 2-game sweep of the New York Yankees 4-2 in the Dome this afternoon. The Twins were trailing 2-1 when Houston Jimenez embarked on a 4-bag adventure. After Ken Griffey played the ball off the wall, his relay was bobbled by Willie Randolph, allowing Jimenez to score. To give Houston a triple, Randolph the error. Dave Engel drove home the winning run after Darryl Brown singled and stole second. Filson relieved starter John Butcher in the second inning and pitched 6 1/3 innings of shutout ball. He picked up the victory thanks to Tom Bernansky. Bruno saved a run with a fine leaping catch, robbing Don Mattingly. Bernansky then led off the 8th with a 400-foot home run, almost 11,000 in the Dome this afternoon. The Twins now hit the road for 7 games beginning in Oakland tomorrow. Elsewhere in the American League tonight, it was Cleveland over Chicago 5-4, and Oakland over Toronto 7-4. Milwaukee over California 2-1. Seattle has defeated Boston. Detroit is now 16-1. I wonder what their magic number is. They beat Texas 7-5. Baltimore 11-3 over Kansas City. In the National League, LA 6-5 over San Diego. Atlanta 2-1 over Cincinnati. Jim Eisenreich will not be making the Twins road trip. He's been placed on the 15-day disabled list because of his nervous disorder. Eisenreich will be treated as an outpatient at a Minneapolis area hospital, where he will undergo a new course of treatment for a condition that has caused him to miss action for the past 3 years. For the 15th straight year, the defending NBA champion has been eliminated from the playoffs. Tonight, the New Jersey Nets beat the Philadelphia 76ers 101-98. giving the Nets a 3-2 first-round win. Surprisingly, all 3 New Jersey wins were on the Sixers' home floor. The final game went down to the wire, but the Nets put it away with that tip in there by Albert King. The Nets will play Milwaukee in the second round. Elsewhere, Milwaukee wrapped up their series beating Atlanta. Dallas wins their series, defeating Seattle 105-104 in overtime. Utah leading Denver 72-58 in the third, and Phoenix 39-31 over Portland in the second. And Dave, one final item. Murray Frang is retiring as executive director of the Minnesota State High School League, effective in January of 1985. He's held that position since 1970, and we certainly wish him the best.
Indeed. Thank you, Mark. We are 10 minutes over time. We are still gathering information on the tornadoes that struck the northern Twin Cities tonight, St. Anthony and specifically Apache Plaza. And at midnight, we plan to offer a special report on the tornado activity. That will be here on Channel 4 immediately following Trapper John. We hope you'll join us then. Until then, thank you and good night.
Before Frank's, you might not want to be seen in your own yard this summer, but with guaranteed lawn and lawn care products from Frank's, you can do wonders. Come to Frank's for long life lawn food, just $6.99, or weed and feed, just $8.99. Each bag covers